Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie. And if you're watching on video, yes, I am in my adult acne era. I swear if I receive another DM about it, you guys are dead to me.
Who's DMing you?
There's always someone that's like, that zit was huge in that one video. And I'm like, okay, well, now I have 5 huge zits. So choose your fighter.
Choose your fighter. Oh, that's good.
Choose which one you're going to make fun of this time. Okay. But
that's funny.
okay, can we talk about what we were talking about before we pressed record? Because I
Yes.
need everyone's opinion on this. If this thing is a faux pas.
What's a faux pas?
Okay, it's like a social blunder, like something that goes against social etiquette.
Okay, wait, let's tell them about the story I told you about. Okay,
yes, I'll let you explain it.
So I went to a birthday dinner a few days ago and was already full on appetizers. And we went to this amazing restaurant. It's this Italian restaurant here in Westtown in Chicago. And the pasta was fucking phenomenal. And I'm not going to lie, I was a few martinis in and my ass was like, I'm not letting this pasta go to waste. Like, I'm taking this thing with me everywhere I fucking go. Dude, Natalie, I literally had this to go pasta with me to 3 different bars after I left the restaurant. Cause I was like, I need this for drunk food later. I'm not trying to order food. I knew that my future drunk self needed it. But is that a faux pas then? Are you not allowed to do that?
Okay. So I am a big to go queen. So if I don't finish my meal, I'm gonna get a doggy bag. Is that what they call it? A to-go bag.
A doggy bag. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take one. But the times I won't get a doggy bag is when I'm on a date at a restaurant or when I'm at a birthday party like you were, because I know that we'll most likely go somewhere afterward. If I know I'm going home, I'll take the to-go bag. But typically when you go to dinner for a birthday, especially on a weekend date, you're gonna go to a bar afterward, most likely. And I'm like, oh, is that annoying to carry it around? Or is it kind of embarrassing to have smelly food with you?
Tell me why.
At this packed bar.
I was so fucking impressed with myself that I literally took it to 2 different bars. And I'm not gonna lie, my friends were like, I'm excited for this. I can't believe you have
support.
it.
I 100% support. I would do the same thing. Look, if you're going to drunk eat something, it better be really, really good Italian pasta instead of Jet's pizza. Oh, you know what? Though I live for a good Jet's pizza too.
You love Jet's
pizza.
That's
expensive. Yeah, a personal pizza is $20 on Uber Eats. And that's I mean, look, that adds up.
Why is Jet's Pizza so fucking expensive? I don't even understand. I know it's deliciously fucking good, but I don't know. But can I tell you, I took the pasta home, but I left it out all night and I didn't even eat it.
Okay. I have a follow-up question. When you leave food out, things like pasta, do you toss it the next morning or do you microwave it to its death and hope that you could still eat it?
Sometimes I microwave it to the deaths. It depends on how fucking if I'm still drunk in the morning, I'm fucking eating the pasta. I do not care. But if it's a Taco Bell or something like that, I'm like, nah, I can't. I can't fucking eat that. Plus, I don't really like microwaves. I think it kills food. So I don't like to microwave often.
Okay, I'm actually the opposite. If it's fresh food from a pasta place, right? There's no preservatives in that most likely. And so I was like, it's not going to last the night. But if it's Taco Bell, McDonald's, I don't care if that's a day old, I'm reheating it.
Natalie, no.
Yes, because there's so many preservatives in it. It's no, there's no way it's going bad.
That's the opposite of the mentality you should have. If there's preservatives, don't eat it.
No. This is so sick. I can't tell if we're not normal or this is normal stuff.
I would love
that no one talks about.
I would love to hear people if you were going out to the bars after a dinner, but you had a bomb ass meal and you want to eat the leftovers. Do you take the leftovers with you everywhere you go all night? I need to know. Because if you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I'm shocked though you didn't leave it at a bar. I feel that's something I would do. I would leave it somewhere.
Can I tell you,
And
I
some
was
other drunk dude at the bar would eat it, most likely. He'd be like, what's this?
pizza parlor? Oh my God, what is this? Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I started to brown out too. So the fact that I actually brought it back, pretty impressed with myself.
I'm very, very impressed. Wow. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think it's still a faux pas though. Like if you take a to-go bag, if you're going somewhere after dinner. However, I support. Like I would do
I
what
can't
you
believe
did. I
I can't
just think it's a faux pas.
I can't believe you're takeout shaming me right now with the faux pas.
No, I would do
But
it too.
just
But I
kidding.
think it's a faux pas. It's a faux pas.
It's a faux pas.
But I'm super excited about this episode because it has been highly, highly requested. We are continuing our burning questions series. So we gathered your most burning questions from our Instagram. That's where we gathered your most burning,
Ma'am.
we gathered your most burning questions. Okay. Shh. Let me put my head back where it was.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
Okay.
good. Okay.
We gathered your most burning questions from our Instagram page, Out of the Pods. If you guys aren't following us on there, please do, because that's where we interact with you guys. That's where we gather all your questions and comments. So if you do have questions about Love is Blind or reality TV in general, definitely follow us and ask us on there. But I think that this is going to be a lot of fun. I really miss doing these, don't you?
Yeah, I do. We can really speak to our listeners and like give them the content that they want versus us just like, talking about whatever we want. So I like this formatted episode.
Yay.
It'll be fun.
Okay. So let's get right into it. First question from one of our listeners. Is there an engagement day on the show, or can people propose whenever they want in the pods?
Ooh, actually, okay, there is a proposal day technically, but I think if people feel very strongly before that proposal day, I think you can propose if you want. Because, Natalie, in your situation, there was a contestant who wanted to ask you if you were interested in marrying him, like early on before the engagement day. And because he was being sent home and he asked you before he left. So technically, I think
Yeah.
if you feel the urge to be like, this is my person, you can ask early. But there is technically a proposal day.
Yeah, proposal day is on day 9 or 10.
9.
You could kind of tell when it is on the show because everyone dresses up a little bit more. On our
Mostly.
season, they actually told us not to dress up for proposal day.
Yeah,
And
they
so I
did.
think that was like a new thing where they were trying to make it seem like on the show we were getting proposed on different days. But it looks like they changed that fact because now everyone is dressing up on like a certain day, it seems
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
there
It's
is one,
interesting.
but you're right. I think that you can propose whenever you want to. There really isn't a lot of guidelines or really like control in the pods. Like you could really do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like if your feelings and your emotions are very strong for somebody, I think it's totally acceptable to propose to them early. Okay. Our next question from listeners, people want to know what our on paper matches are. Can you explain that a little bit?
Like what those are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talked about this in our episode with Johnny. We've also talked about it in the past as well. This concept of paper matches. So prior to getting on set, like getting into the pods, we do a lot of compatibility tests. We are asked things like, what's our ideal type? There's also like, we do a lot of personality tests as well. And I think what happens is that every single contestant has multiple paper matches based
Yeah.
on our personality, based on what we're looking for, based on like past our past partners as well, like what we typically go for. And so all of that is like put in some sort of, I don't know, like there's some, I don't know how they do it, the production team, but yeah, you have like essentially multiple compatibility matches based on these tests on the,
Yeah.
on the men's side.
I think it's also important to note that, like, even before we get casted for the show, they're looking at our responses to this, like, extensive questionnaire that we had to do. I almost didn't even do the show because of how long the fucking questionnaire was. I was like, am I really answering 200 plus questions? Like, it's going to take me forever. But I'm glad they did that because, like, they kind of selected the cast based on those compatibility matches or whatever. But one of the questions that the listeners had to go off of that is, do producers push paper matches together? And I think no, they don't.
For the most part, no. Like the producers don't tell you like who your paper matches are when you are in the pods, right? Where it's kind of like
Yeah.
a free for all,
No, they
kind of.
shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah. But they know, right? It's a way to ensure that there are couples who, who at least have like the basics, or
Yeah.
like I think paper matches is like a way to ensure that like there is some sort of like basic compatibility amongst some of the men and women. Um I will say I do think that there is a soft push in that you guys heard we rank each other, like we rank the men after every day. And sometimes if I would rank one man off, I would still have a date with him the next day and the day after that, even though I was ranking him off. Like I was like, there's no chemistry here. Being put on dates with him is because he was one of my paper matches. And so like
Interesting.
producers didn't want me to like miss that opportunity because on the first day we only talked to the men for a very short amount of time, and so it's not like we're not getting very deep, and so we're cutting men um off of
First
our ranking
impressions.
yeah, just based on
Hmm.
first impression. And
Yeah.
typically that's not always like, like the best way. Just like,
Yeah.
if you have like one bad first date doesn't mean that that person isn't a good match for you.
Yeah.
So I think in that way they might like push it a little bit, but they never are like, this is your paper match. You must go with this person.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I remember even after the season wrapped, remember when we met up with our producer, they were like, we were asking them, we're like, what is our paper match? But really, I think, like you said, there's multiple. And so,
Yeah.
but the producers were kind of like, okay, I think like this person or this couple is going to make it, or this couple is going to be a thing. And they kind of had some bets going, which was, I thought was kind of funny. But
Yeah. Who do you think your paper matches were?
that's a great question because I have no idea. Weirdly, I do think that Shake was my perfect match. Oh my gosh. I think that he was my paper match, weirdly. I know the producer said Nick
Really?
Thompson was, but Shake to the T on paper fits what I look for in a person. Like, he's a
Interesting.
vet. He's Indian. He comes from the same background as me. We have like very similar upbringings. Like, what about you?
Wait, you think Shake was? Because I thought that you typically, like on the show, you said he was the first Indian man that
Yeah.
you were with, you
But
had been
like,
with.
I'm saying like emotionally and physically, I usually do the opposite of what's like what I should be doing. But on paper, like that, those are the qualities I look for in a person. But again, I hate like the paper match term because it shows you like someone can be your perfect paper match, but not be right for you personality wise and in the real world. I think that is so important. And that's why I don't like the concept of it, because even in the Indian culture, that's what you go off of. It's like you have these bio datas where it tells you like your salary and your profession and your family's background, but that's not necessarily what makes you a good match with somebody. There's just so much more environmentally and like emotionally that needs to be there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it also depends on how you fill out those questionnaires and those tests as well. So I know there's one section where it asks like, please describe your personality and the personality you want from like an ideal partner. And I was like, I don't know, that's so hard to do because I mean, you could fill it out very like generally, but there's so many nuances when it comes to that in terms of
yeah,
like personality compatibility. Um, I think it's also really hard because I feel like that initial like chemistry you get from someone, like that starts at like kind of that honeymoon phase in the early stages of the relationship. Like it's hard to see past that. Like all of a
oh
sudden, like
yeah.
look at like the compatibility with someone
I know.
ultimately.
Based on the voice alone, I was like, oh my gosh, this person has a sexy voice. And like, that's what
No.
keeps you going. You're like, ooh, hi. Like, and you're like, forget compatibility, forget a paper match. Like, everything you look for goes out the window.
Yeah.
Quick pause. Natalie, can I tell you about something that I have been loving lately?
Is it me? If not, what is it?
It's always you. But also, I have been loving my new Miracle Made sheets. Here's a fun fact that I know you're going to love and our listeners too. Did you know that traditional bed sheets that you sleep on can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat?
Ew, wait. Is that a real fact?
That's a real fact. In fact, it
Oh,
can lead to acne, allergies, and even stuffy noses, which is absolutely disgusting. But Miracle Made offers a whole line of self cleaning bedding, such as sheets and pillowcases, that prevent 99% of that bacteria.
okay. So I've actually heard of Miracle Made. They're the bed sheets inspired by NASA, which is a really, really cool fact. And I actually love these types of products. I think it just makes a really good gift for friends and family, especially for the upcoming holiday season. If you want to give the gift of quality sleep too, go to trymiracle.com/out of the pods to try it today or gift it to someone special this holiday season.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Save over 40%. And if you use our promo out of the pods at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%.
Um, but I think that my paper match was Rocky, 100%. I think Rocky and I were like, if the producers could have it their way, we were supposed to end up together. He was my ideal match in terms of how I filled out that questionnaire and those tests to a T. I
Really?
think my other paper match was Joey. And then maybe, I think maybe Jeremy.
Mm. So all the people that went home early were Natalie's paper matches.
Yeah, because they all had the same personalities. They came from the same like corporate background. I wrote that I was looking for someone who is financially responsible, like very, like very much understands how to manage their money, and all three of
Mhm.
those men did, and it was very important to them.
Yeah.
And in terms of like their temperament, all the same, in my opinion,
Hmm. It's
very similar.
yeah, it's just so hard to put down your personality on paper. It's easy to put down your qualifications.
Yeah.
Your personality is like harder, I think. Hmm.
Anyways,
Interesting.
well, that's paper matches. Next question. Given what you know now, who would you both pick now from your season?
Ooh. Wait, I need to think about it. You go first. I need to think about who.
Okay, I would choose Rocky.
Mm. That honestly, Rocky would be in my top three. I absolutely loved talking to him. He was my first date, and it went so well. Wait, oh, Rocky.
I really liked him
Interesting.
too, though there was one day that I ranked him lower, like outside of my top three, and I don't remember why. I think because we were very much a slow burn compared to Shane and I. Like Shane and I
Yeah.
were like so fast, and we were, even though it doesn't show it on the show, we were like very flirty really fast. And like Shane validated me so fast. Like he's like, I just feel like this is something. While with Rocky, like he was exploring his, I feel like he was exploring his other connections and like wasn't being super like expressive towards like how he felt about me. It was more so like getting to know each other. So I feel like that's why maybe like Shane kind of won over
Yeah.
over him at the time. But
Interesting.
he would have definitely been my pick. I will say I don't think Rocky and I would have lasted. I think even
Yeah.
if him and I got married, which I'm a little bit confident that we would have gotten married on the show, I don't think that we would have actually like stayed married.
Interesting. It's so hard to predict
Yeah.
what could have happened. Like the what ifs are so hard. I think for me, the answer was always going to be Kyle before. And like we talked about it and we were like, if we picked each other, we probably would be married, which is
Oh my
really
gosh.
fucking wild to talk about or think about. But knowing what I know now, I would pick no one. I would pick you. I would pick you, Natalie. Honestly,
We're like, we're going to make this a queer season.
honestly, let's go. Because no, I really, now that I think about it, like I don't think any of the men I would have been compatible with or it would have lasted. I just don't think that it was in the cards for me with that cast. So I'm gonna go with no one.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair answer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Do you guys have to do your own hair, makeup, and style yourselves?
Yes.
Sadly, yes.
Yes. When everyone
Simple
says,
answer.
who are their like stylists or like makeup artists? It's ourselves.
It's me, myself, and I. That's why I had great makeup. The amount of
That is
people.
why. That's why my eyeliner is always uneven in every scene.
That's why my makeup didn't match my face after Mexico.
That's why I'm never wearing lipstick because I kept coming off and I just wore lip balm all the time.
Oh my God, the lipstick comment made me think about my makeout with Shake after reveal and how it was all smeared. That was the most embarrassing moment of my entire life.
Oh
Oh
my
God.
gosh.
So sad.
We did get a question about that, about reveal.
Oh, we did. Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So the next question from someone is it awkward to see your fiancés at reveal? What did you guys talk about?
Me and Shake didn't talk. We just kissed the whole time.
All 20 minutes?
I'm
All
just
20
kidding.
minutes?
No, it was more like 12 minutes we kissed, which is why I needed that long lasting, smear proof lipstick, but I didn't have it. Anyways, we just actually, I absolutely loved my reveal with Shake. It will honestly be forever an amazing moment in my life. I know like people are like, oh my God, what? But I actually loved it. It was like the way he touched my feet was so like important to me because it was like something we were talking about. And when you like have an inside joke with somebody and it like comes to fruition and it plays out and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. And like no one else like understands the situation. So it was like so perfect. We were very attracted to each other, kissed a lot. Our kisses were like good. Like it was a good make out. I don't know. Everything about it was good. I will forever cherish it. I know you're going to say the
Wait.
opposite.
Okay, what was the I don't remember your reveal that much, but what was the whole feet thing? Like
Okay.
what was the significance?
So in the Indian culture, when you get married, the wife touches your new husband's feet and they kind of like bless you. But for me, I always saw it as like, why is it that the woman has to do that for the man? It seemed like such inequality. And so I told him in the pods, I was like, I'm not touching your feet. Like I think we're equals. And so when he pulled up when we did the reveal and we walked towards each other, the first thing he did was touch my feet. And it was so cute. I
Oh,
still
that's very
remember.
cute.
Yeah. And I was like, I literally looked at him and I was like, you did not just do that. And he's like, I would do it for you. And I was like, it was a special moment. But no,
Wow.
I don't think my reveal was awkward. It was very like high intense though, with so many people watching us. But yeah, one of my top moments. How
In
about for
life?
you?
Top moments in life?
So far, until I have a kid or get married, yeah, I think it's like top 5. I've lived a
Wow.
sheltered life.
I mean, I'm very surprised to hear that about you just because of like where your relationship with Shake stands now. That I was like, I don't know. I feel like when you have those really happy memories, but it's with someone that you don't care for anymore, it's just like, I don't really view them in like a happy way anymore. That's how I view
See,
my reveal.
yeah, you know what? That's an interesting uh perspective because weirdly, I still think about it in a positive way because who I thought he was at the time and who I was in that moment is what I try to like remember and capture. And like I'm
Hmm.
trying not to like taint it. But tell me about your reveal moment though.
I mean, I've talked about it before on this podcast. It was very, very awkward. I think I went in for like a peck and he came in with like a little open mouth trying to have a makeout session. And I remember feeling like so awkward. Like it's the fact that I was like, oh, this is going to look like such an awkward kiss on TV. And absolutely was. I literally cringed when I saw us kiss during reveal because it was just like, why does it look like we both don't know how to kiss? Um, uh, I think what was really tough is he looked so different than what I had in my mind. Shane looks like he's very buff. Um, he was very buff at our reveal day. In my mind, I imagined him to be a little bit more like lanky, skinny, a little bit, I don't want to like generalize, but a little bit on like the nerdier side. And I know that's really hard to understand, but it was based on our conversations that didn't show on TV. And so that's why I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm like, this is like, what's happening type of thing. So that's what made it so awkward is I didn't know how to like respond to who I was physically seeing.
Mm-hmm. There's so many
So
things
that's,
going through your
yeah.
head. Yeah.
And so that's how I remember feeling. I do remember feeling like very happy, like, oh, okay, like, he seems very nice. Like, like, I'm sure it's like fine. One thing though is like after we left that reveal room, I forgot what he looked like, and same for Shane. He told me
Oh,
like he forgot what I looked like. One of the men who got engaged to, I forgot who from the cast, asked Shane like, "Oh, was Natalie like pretty?" And he's like, "I don't know." He goes, "I
wait.
can't tell you aside from her being East Asian." He goes, "I can't tell you how like what I can't tell you like her body shape. I can't tell you like anything about her physically."
That is so funny because I legitimately fucking blacked out during that time too. And I remember when right before we um got to our Mexico hotel, I literally asked one of the producers, I was like, hey yo, like is Shay cute? Because I cannot remember what he looks like for the life of me. I just like blacked out. So I agree with Shane. Like I was so lost.
No,
So
100%.
yeah. Okay, our next question. Do you get to keep your engagement rings and dresses?
Yes. I actually paid for my wedding dress. I didn't like the selection that production provided. And so I went outside of their selection and got my own like a week before my wedding.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, it wasn't my favorite dress, but I was like, this is kind of like better than what I initially chose. And so yeah, I got to keep it all, kept my engagement ring as well. Again, we talked about this before, but I emailed them after my wedding day or a few months after my wedding day, like, hey, what do I do with this ring? I emailed the executive producer and she's like, keep it.
That's way more than I did because I drunkenly threw it at on a boat and the engagement ring is at the bottom of Lake Michigan right now.
That is so funny.
I was like, F this. No, I'm just kidding. With the dress though, I was in the same boat as you. Obviously, I went traditional Indian wedding attire and the budget did not match the dress whatsoever. So I had to figure out something. But me and Shake paid a little bit out of pocket for our Indian outfits. But I still have it. I think I'm gonna sell it because where am I ever gonna wear that again?
Next question. Deepti, have you talked to Shake since the reunion episode? He recently posted on his Instagram story about how he loved your reveal day.
Funny because I said how I love my reveal day today. So I guess the feeling is mutual. Um, I haven't talked to Shake in a long time. He did try to call me a few months ago though, and oh my gosh, I wanted to answer so badly because I'm just like very curious to see what he had to say, but I never called him back. He never texted me to see like why he's calling me, nothing. And so I kind of just let it go because listen, I wish him the best, but there's just no reason to invite that energy back into my life. Like, you do you, I'm doing me. But wish you the best from afar. That's the energy I'm in.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Natalie, our listeners want to know, do you miss Shane? Not the relationship itself, but him as someone you cared for in the past?
I don't. It's been like more than a year since I last spoke to him. If I'm being honest, like he is blocked on everything, like on my end. So I don't ever see his social media. I don't see anything he posts. Um, he's just kind of like out of my life. Um, as someone that I've cared for, so I've had I've had a few other relationships since I've broken up with Shane. And so he is no longer like my latest ex, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
And so like that relationship with him now feels so long ago, because
Hmm.
I've been with other people since, and then I'm also in one now. So it's like, I don't know, I don't really like think of him or really miss him in any capacity. I think the only time I do like think of him is when we're doing this podcast, when I'm relating something back to that time on the show with him
Yeah.
and that relationship with him based on like, you know, the recaps that we do on the latest seasons of Love is Blind, or it's, you know, or something we're talking about on this podcast, because you guys as a listener, you know, you guys were privy to our love story. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. And I think it's important that you say that, because people are always like, oh my gosh, like you guys still talk about your exes or the situation. And it's like, yeah, it's like a big part of what happened to our lives. And also, this is a podcast about our time on the show and our future seasons of Love is Blind. So it's like inevitable to talk about them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
before people come for us, I just wanted to say that too. But are you close at all, Natalie, with Shayna, or are you on good terms with her? I think that's another question the listeners had for you.
Yeah, so Shayna and I have talked since our time on the show. We were both at the live reunion for season 4 together. So there was like a private party in LA, and we were both there, and we are very cordial. Like we like laughed and drank and took shots together. I've also seen her around Chicago, and same thing. Like we say hi, we're very cordial. I don't think we'll ever be close friends by any means, but we are very cordial, and there's like no animosity there.
Love that.
Yeah. Okay, next question is for you, Deepti. What happened with you and Kyle?
Whoa. Well, if you guys want to know the full story, please read my book, I Choose Myself, available on Amazon. I'm just kidding.
A little
He's the
plug
last
for the book.
chapter. Yeah. He's the last chapter. No, I actually haven't like outwardly talked about what happened with me and Kyle. I just kind of wrote it in the book and kind of was like, done, finale, last chapter.
Mhm.
Um, I think Kyle and I, you know, if you want to know where your relationship is going to head, the best thing you can do is live with them, because you know right away if you're meant to be together or not. I
Yeah.
think when Kyle and I went to LA and we kind of, you know, were living out there together, I think it like really like showed us that we were not compatible. I was so anxious as a person when I was with him that like I knew something was off, and he initiated the conversation of like, hey, like don't you think it's better if we're friends? And I wholeheartedly agreed with him. We were on the same page with that. It didn't hurt any less, because I think like our lives were so intertwined together. Like we spent so much time together. So it was really tough to break free. But if I'm being honest, I think the person that Kyle is post breakup is somebody that I have no idea who they are. It's like that version of him is someone that I don't know. And, you know, he's living his own life and I'm living my own. And that's the end of that. Like, so like nothing bad really happened. It wasn't like someone did something to each other. It was kind of like a mutual, I don't think we're meant to be.
Next question from one of our listeners. Can you better explain how saying someone got a bad edit negates or diminishes the literal words spoken by the individual?
Ooh, that's a really good fucking question.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, because when we say got a bad edit, producers and editors from the show can kind of make it seem like you're doing anything. Like, for example, one notorious fucking scene from our After the Altar episode was when something like drama filled was happening and they made my head reverse the opposite direction. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, why is Deepti's head doing that? Well, that was all editing, and it made it seem like I was so interested in the drama that was happening, but really like it was just an example of how it can be edited to make it look like you were like so invested in the drama around you. So that's kind of an example of what we mean by you can get a bad edit. So like your words can be taken from anywhere of filming and placed in such a way that it makes you look bad. And I think like that's what it's referring to.
Yeah, like when we say someone got a bad edit versus someone who got a good edit, I think that there's this need to place people into these one-dimensional characters. I mean, like even people with good hearts or who we believe have good hearts, they have bad moments.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's up to the editors if they want to put those bad moments in the show. So Deepti, let's just say it how it is. I think you got a very, very good edit on our season, deservingly so. I think that you
Mm-hmm.
are a very good person with a very, very good heart. However, do I think that editors could have made you into like a villain role? Yes. And not based on like
To a
what you
certain
say.
extent.
Yeah, to a
Yeah.
certain extent. I think that
Mhm.
they could have put in pieces where you're looking some way or you're talking about something else and take the context out of that and put it in another scene where it would make sense based on the
Mhm.
situation. But you're like, it doesn't in real life, it's not even related. So I
Exactly.
think that there is like that's what we say got a bad edit. So someone can
Mhm.
say something really, really bad. And yes, it says a lot about their character, but also a really like what we consider a good character might also say something really bad during filming, but it's completely cut out, which means they're
Yeah.
getting a good edit throughout the show. I don't know if
Right.
that makes
And
sense to you guys.
yeah, and if someone like got a bad edit, if like a few words were taken out of context and put like isolatedly was like shown, it makes them look like they're a bad person.
Isolatedly, what?
Yeah, like if there was an isolated statement and they
Yeah,
don't show the context of it isolatedly. Honestly, I need my own vocabulary. I'm just
I
saying.
know. Wow, you really do.
Faux
Um,
pas. I don't know. I
oh,
just.
For our next question, shout out to all of you who have tried Nutrafol after we talked about it in our previous episodes. Hair thinning is not talked about enough, especially amongst women, but it's common. It happens to approximately 1 in 2 women. And I promise you're not alone because I've experienced hair thinning, mostly due to stress, and other women in my life also have too.
Yeah, what I love about Nutrafol is that it is the number one dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. And I know you guys love your facts. So, in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol Women's Hair Growth Supplement for 6 months.
So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code out of the pods.
Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code out of the pods.
That's Nutrafol.com, promo code out of the pods.
Okay, what's our next question? Let's see. Does Netflix give you media training? Some cast members are very classy when answering questions, and others are not.
Okay, I've actually always wanted to answer this. We do not receive media training. None of the cast members do. Why would we receive media training?
I
We're not
know.
even worth it. We're like a one-time cast for each season. So no, like no one is media trained. That is not a thing. Deepti and I were not media trained when our season was coming out. Based on our conversations with other cast members from other seasons, they also were not media trained. It's just how we like answer the questions.
Yeah, literally.
I think that people who are more classy in the way they answer questions versus what you would call real, that's not like I think that's just people trying to like protect themselves really and kind of like protect their peace.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
for us, I feel like we in the very beginning when the show came out, when we would receive like questions from media outlets, I think that we were very what I would consider like classy and what we, responded with. I like made sure I did not talk bad about my fiance to a
Yeah.
certain extent. And that was more for me like protecting myself and kind of staying out of the drama.
Yeah, I agree. I was the same way. I didn't want to like bash anyone, but at the same time, I think there was a fine line of like standing up for yourself and
Yeah.
being empowered, but not in
Yeah.
a way. that would bring anyone down. So,
Okay. Well, next
yeah.
question we received. Who is your favorite Love is Blind cast member based on your personal interactions and knowledge, aka not based on the show?
Ooh, I think mine would be Giannina.
Mine
I
too.
just I absolutely loved her. Just in real life, I think she has such good energy and her outlook on life like really matches mine. We're all about manifesting, baby.
Yes. Okay. So my favorites are definitely Cameron from season one. He is extremely, extremely real. Love Giannina, very lovely. And very relatable as well. I love Nancy. Oh my goodness. She's a sweetheart. She
Yeah,
truly,
she
truly
is.
is. Oh my gosh. Like the show does not do her justice. I know she got a really good edit on the show, but when you meet her in person, she is just, you could just tell
So
she's just like a
bubbly.
very nice, nice
Mhm.
person, very nice and kind.
Yeah.
I also really like Tiffany um, from season four.
You're supposed to name one favorite and
Oh, I'm
you're
sorry.
literally I'm dead. You're like, we got a
Okay, well,
list. We got a
I'll just
fucking
stop there. I'll
list.
just stop there. Well, those are my faves. So,
No, there's a lot of good favorite. I think you're making the point that there's so many good people
yeah.
that were
And we haven't met
casted.
all of them. So,
Yeah.
like we're just going based on like the very small number of Love is Blind cast members that we've met so far.
Yeah, for sure. Next question. Do you run into season 2 cast often in Chicago?
No.
Weirdly, not as much.
I think the two people I hang out with the most is obviously you and Ayana from our season. And then Mallory Danielle will also hang out time to time, but they have full time jobs. So it's a little bit harder. Um, but I've also seen Shayna a few times. And, again, like I said, we've been always cordial. And yeah. Okay. Next question. And this is a juicy one. What is your take on the cutie situation of season 3? So that the one between Xanab and Cole.
Wow, we're really. Why is this our most asked question every time we do an AMA? This is the one of the most asked questions. My take on it. Oof. Okay, obviously, just watching the cutie scene alone, I tend to side with Cole in the fact that it doesn't seem as bad as what Zeneb described the situation to be. But in my opinion, I really think that Zeneb's recall of that situation is like a pileup of all the incidents that have maybe happened before that scene. And so I think like the feeling that she had was that Cole was very, I don't know, not judgmental, but was like kind of nitpicking at her maybe when it comes to eating. And it was like, I don't know, it was all like festering up and building up in her own mind. And I think the cutie scene is where it kind of blew up for her, even though Cole didn't intend it to. I don't know, I think it's like a big thing of like miscommunication, or like when you interpret a situation based on emotion versus just asking the person, is this how you really feel? It's like an interpretation of what they're feeling, if that makes sense. I could honestly decipher that whole scene and like spend an entire episode talking about it, because I have some thoughts. Just because it's complicated. It's not just an easy like she's right or he's right. There's so many feelings involved, you know? But
I agree with you. I think it could be like two scenarios. She either exaggerated it to make Cole look bad, or you're right, like things were happening behind the scenes out that didn't make the show or happened outside of filming that made her feel like the comments he was making had more weight about her weight than it actually did in that moment.
yeah,
So
absolutely. There's just like so many, it's complicated because I don't think like one person is right or wrong. I think there's just like so many feelings and unspoken things. Ooh,
but I do think that there is someone who is right or wrong in that situation. We just don't have the information to like provide that opinion, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Cause like we don't know what happened behind the
Yeah.
scenes between them. So I was
We're
like,
not
I
in their
don't know if he
shoes.
made other comments and that's what caused her to kind of like, feel this way towards Cole and exaggerate what actually happened, or, like
Yeah.
something else was going on.
Well, it
So,
goes back to that
anyways,
bad edit thing, like
yeah,
anything can be shown. So,
exactly.
yeah. Okay. Well, our next question: how do you decide which guests come on your podcast?
We kind of don't decide that. We typically do not reach out to other cast members to come on our podcast. They typically reach out to us to come on. And
Yeah.
so if they want to use us as a platform, we interview them. And
Yeah.
so that's how we, I don't want to say choose our guests, but that's how we get guests on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we reach out, but usually people come to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's like a friend and we're like, hey, like come on our podcast because we'd love to like, talk about our friendship or like get your perspective on something, then yeah, we'll ask. But if it's someone that we don't really know, then typically it's because they came to us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Solid.
next question for you. Do you feel like Love is Blind has proved love doesn't need attraction, or have you found that appearance is important?
Mm. I think that love does require attraction. In my opinion, I think you can have the emotional connection and have the pillar or the foundation of, just having like you match on backgrounds and having compatibility and having all of the characteristics that you look for in your paper match, for example, right? But I do think that how you act in real life, what your habits are, how you carry yourself, and how you treat others. There's so much more that I think is important when it comes to a connection and love, that I think it's very important. Like even your appearance, I think is very important, because at the end of the day, you want to be attracted and emotionally connect with somebody on another layer. You know what I mean? So I think that attraction is very important. I don't think it's everything, because I think attraction can grow over time. I find that for sure. Um, but yeah, I think it's very important.
I agree. I think physical appearance um, can also say a lot about a person, like someone who looks hygienic. That's something hygiene, not saying it's like, well, that's important to me. Like, I
It is
want my
important.
ideal partner to be like a very hygienic person. And I think physical appearance like plays a role into that and says some things about a person.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, next question. Would you ever consider doing a rewatch and a recap of your own season? Oh, dun, dun, dun.
I don't know. I actually do really want to because I do think that there's like a lot of side stories that haven't been told that would be like very juicy to tell. I
Ooh,
do think it would cause a lot more drama than we would intend for it to, just because we are friends with half of the cast from our season.
yeah, and also like so much time has passed to like reopen those wounds. I think would be like, oh, it would be just be hard, but I think our listeners would really enjoy it. I don't know, and I also like personally, like, would I watch it again? How would I feel? But yeah, I think it's just I don't know, it just like re-triggers people.
You'll just have to wait and see.
Ooh,
All
love
right,
it.
next question. What are your predictions for the future of the Love is Blind franchise given the recent lawsuits and allegations?
I think the franchise has gotten so big at this point that the recent lawsuits and allegations aren't going to really impact new seasons coming out, because I think we've said on the podcast before, there's so many new seasons already filmed that are on the docket to come out in the next few years, that I think the franchise is going to continue on. I really do hope that they hear what the contestants have been saying and like take the feedback and make a few changes to make it a safer environment for like cast to go on the show and to film. But I don't think that it's going to impact it. I don't think this franchise is going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of changes made to the future seasons. And the reason why I say that is Kinetic Content, the production company, hasn't really owned up to really anything. that has been said by former cast members when it comes to like the treatment of the cast. Obviously, these lawsuits are ongoing. No one has ever like, they haven't settled on, you know, like what has actually happened. So yeah, I don't, but I think that the franchise is pretty strong. I think it's one of the most popular dating slash love reality TV shows out there. And I don't think there's any slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely no slowing down. Okay, our last question. Has there been any relationships across the LIB franchise?
Yes. And that's all we can say about it.
Dun dun dun. Well, um, hopefully we've answered a lot of your questions that you guys had. Thank you so much for sending in all of your thoughts. And especially the questions for this episode. I think I just love the format of it so much. If you have anything else that you guys want to know, just reach out to us at our Instagram page at Out of the Pods.
Make sure you leave a review and subscribe. That's what keeps us going. So see you next Wednesday.
Bye.